So while the world heads into what should be a new human age and all the change in human values this implies, it seems that we must yet again look at the issues of the Holocene as as in taking into account the fact that we still are on the other side of the line in terms of that we're still living in societies which are evidently evolving. It is said that we can understand divides in geopolitics from how the political spectrum has evolved, and by that I mean the general shape of global civilization, which I've described in the book and on here, because it's not a simple case of different shades of colours on the right and left with a theoretically neutral centre. I can't even think what colour that would be actually, but so the truth is that only white light contains all the other colours. So first there's the monarchists, who can be traced back to the empires of the ancient world, all the way back through the world order, which emerged through Egypt, and we could associate with the Megalon drought crisis that caused the migration to urban centres and gave the monarchies all that power, which corrupted, which caused the fall of the ancient world, the rise of Christianity, and everything that happened since. Then there are the reformists, the orange liberals, who try to bring progressive social change, the blue conservatives, who oppose this and only let the change through that they consider necessary for the system. So bearing in mind the situation kind of swings back and forth between right and left, then you've got the red socialists, who are groups which have become determined to bring about change and form political parties who can present their own political agenda, which then became the communists, due to the more extreme swings between right and left. And so then you've got the fascists, who defend the system in principle from change, which they see as unfit, while the communists separate themselves from the rest in politics and then establish a alternative system. So the black anarchists do not care at all for social systems and argue that if humans were simply allowed to exist in their natural state, then they would not have these problems at all, as they were simply created by the world order or system itself. So if we look at the way those main elements emerged there, then we've got the monarchists kind of came first, and then maybe with the background of democracy in ancient Greece, with the Christian takeover of Europe, but previous to that with the Greeks and the Romans. And so you've got a rising democratic element that evolved over time, and gradually became kind of what was seen as liberal politics. And then the battle between the left and the right broke out because the socialists appeared because of the monarchy resistance to change, and then the socialists eventually became the communists in the revolution, which then became an alternative, which then became the Soviet Union and created the Cold War. So basically these elements really created a kind of superstructure really in terms of the world order that's come through the Cold War and now is coming out the other side. So we could say that it affects the politics within other groups, which run through the whole of society, like religions, sport, entertainment, education, academia, especially the social sciences, business, marketing, any group which is concerned with the direction of society and the relationships between people. In total, it would appear that the kind of mess really between the monarchy, the socialists, the liberals, and the communists and fascists together all cause the problem of terrorism. But we must understand, well, and that's why the multipolar political environment became the solution. So it seems like now we're in a situation which is more of a technical problem because of course everybody knows this, who's in high level politics now, and that means that this has changed the way the situation is being managed. So it's also causing a new kind of class divide really between the levels of politics, and a change in the way that the situation is being managed. So really, if you want to get in at that level, then you've got to learn this. We must understand now that those kind of multipolar, kind of like many nations which have emerged, still have this sort of fundamentally deep divides in geopolitics and also have diametrically opposed forces within themselves. So this is really why we need educated people now to manage the way that the whole situation moves forward, at least on this level. Over time, we have seen a more sophisticated system evolve, and because of this, I've been looking at how this is reflected in the education and training system in its shift to lifelong learning and professional workplace-based qualifications. The traditional university method, which involves specialization in a subject at degree level, then learning the ability to test and experiment at the MA or master's level, and then moving forward from that to discover something new for oneself at the PhD level or doctorate. These have been challenged for some time in terms of popularity and use, perhaps because of the influence of the need to balance the capitalist communist east-west kind of relationship, by the introduction of new government initiatives like the National Vocational Qualification system, which people can now pass through as they go. There is an entry level one, which teaches people about the basic roles in the industry. Then there is a level 2 on more senior roles like supervisor, and level 3 managing people, level 4 specialist and advisory roles, level 5 leadership, level 6 designing the processes of an organization or business, like health and safety, disciplinary elements which nobody is above. Level 7 senior management levels within an organization or company, like managing a department or product line. Level 8 the strategic management of organizations. The British system goes up to level 8, but there is theoretically level 9 and 10, maybe higher, involving relations with government and managing international organizations. So ultimately, we can learn how to perform corporate takeovers, management investment portfolios within a workplace environment, which is criticized because the way the university system teaches a connection with the whole, but there is a difference here to the way company loyalty is created from within. However, there are still plenty of university educated people in positions of power. I'm only trying to provide information which helps people to understand the situation really and navigate their way around countries, governments and organizations, as well as society at large. And we can see these levels relate to the general natural levels of human consciousness which we've acquired as we've evolved as a species. So however, this is now in a hybrid sense which mixes Eastern and Western thinking, meaning the world still has the aristocratic, the monarchy element, the capitalist element, and the church element combined. So then you've got the kind of antithesis of this, which would be the communist element, the bottom-up management style, which focuses on supplying the front line, really, the communist kind of strategy, whereas the capitalist monarchy element is more kind of blue sky thinking and top-down government strategies. Over time, the introduction of capitalist methods in the East and workplace-based learning in the West really has broken down the traditional social divides really and helped to synchronize the way people work together in a way which integrates management and personal styles and ensures all the correct regulations are properly observed. So despite the war in Ukraine, I hope this has helped people to see that there has been an increased ability to resolve the issue between the right and the left through the postmodern age, which we can see has reduced the divide between traditional methods and radical thinking, which has set up the situation to enter the Anthropocene.